Hello and welcome to Assignment 13, Daniel's Engagement 2 Team Assignment. Group members Rob Hernandez, Mary Coppola, and Carrie Phifer. Let's take a look at the assignment that is due. This is in regards to ethical leadership in a global context, and we're to clearly state our two key takeaways and what ideas from the course and relevant materials did we draw from to formulate these two key takeaways, and what unresolved question remains, and what process did we use to answer this unresolved question. So let's take a look at the takeaways. Our first takeaway, and their bribery cover-up. And as you can see, there's a time where this cover-up apparently allegedly happened. And Rob Walton, chair of Walmart board, reportedly ignored years of bribery and corruption, and Mike Duke, CEO of Walmart, allegedly tried to cover up the scandal. When the New York Times broke the story, they said that Walmart of Mexico was an aggressive and creative corrupter. And part of the problem was that Walmart built an illegal superstore on top of sacred ancient ruins in Mexico that had been there for millennia. And they bribed their way along the way and literally rewrote the zoning map in order to build their superstore. Bribery and competition cronyism and how Walmart was involved. Well, Walmart of Mexico had conquered Teotihuacan with more than $200,000 in bribes, which also ensured competition cronyism, which meant that no one else could enter the marketplace. Payoffs were authorized to buy an altered zoning map along with a compliant mayor who did not object. And Walmart in the United States did nothing to inform authorities when confronted with credible evidence of serial bribes in Teotihuacan. And Walmart later spent $900 million on investigations and compliance enhancements during a probe into alleged Foreign Corrupt Practices Act violations. Let's take a look at some unethical practices, which is our second takeaway, by Texaco in Ecuador. And the unethical practices at Texaco, which is now owned by Chevron, they sought short-term profits, thereby causing harm by polluting the Ecuadorian jungle. They left high levels of toxins, impeding the intellectual growth of local children, and as economic bullies, they withheld severance payments to the country of Ecuador to maintain economic superiority. In other words, if they didn't get their way, they withheld severance payments. And what could the Ecuadorian government do? They left contamination of soil, groundwater, and surface streams, which has caused local indigenous and campesino people to suffer a wave of mouth, stomach, and uterine cancer, birth defects, and spontaneous miscarriages. Texaco Chevron has never cleaned up the mess it inherited, and its oil waste continue to poison the rainforest ecosystem. So what's our unresolved question? Why do corporations like Texaco and Walmart strive to meet ethical standards in states, yet abandon these standards and engage in unethical practices or bribery to achieve their goals internationally? And you can see how the money's exchanging hands, and the hand with the oil on it literally is from an oil pit in Ecuador where the oil wastes still remain to this day. Well, some process is to implement an international social contract, an international corporate social responsibility for any country that they are doing business with, and actually train employees in the host country regarding social contracts and corporate social responsibilities, and actually design metrics for international ethics and set goals and make sure that those international ethics are part of performance reviews for all employees. And another way, and the bottom line, is to hit them in the pocketbook, which is by strengthening the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act, where you have mandatory reporting, that no hesitation, no looking the other way. You have to report it the minute you find out about it. If not, that there'll be hefty fines and penalties for not doing so. That's what will cause them to refrain from doing the same thing again in other countries. So our recommendation is to be a leader and initiate the process, even if one doesn't exist, and to come forward. And here's our references. Thank you for listening, and we'll be happy to answer any questions.